Welcome back to Channel the Tarot. I know there has been a lot on this YouTube channel regarding tarot or things in general. I've been a little bit laxy-daisy when it comes to my YouTube videos, but I'm back and I'm ready to start creating content again. Last time we did a video, I believe, was the May 2025 forecast. Now we're going to be doing the September 2025 forecast. That's how long it's been. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to do an astrological breakdown on how the month of September will look for most of us. And then we'll do a weekly tarot forecast as well. So I have a lot to plan for this video, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so right off the bat, from September 8th through September 19th of this year, we have a cardinal T-square between Mars in Libra, Jupiter in Cancer, and also Chiron in Aries. So what does this mean? What could this possibly mean for us? So this T-square forces action around independence, fairness, and emotional security. Expect tension, overreactions, and possible conflicts, but also opportunities to heal identity wounds and create healthier dynamics through discipline and conscious boundaries. So, again, that is between September 9th through September 19th. Additionally, from September 14th through September 28th, we have another T-square between Mars, Pluto, and Chiron. So Mars will be in Libra, Pluto will be in Aquarius, and Chiron will be in Aries. So basically, this T-square pushes for this intense transformation in relationships, communities, and selfhood, which may expose some conflicts. So those conflicts may expose power struggles or personal wounds, but they do serve as catalysts for reclaiming our authentic courage and also leadership. And the healing during this process requires stepping into your own strength without having to dominate the healing journey. We do have, however, a grand trine. So a trine is basically a fancy word for energy that works together. So we're looking for harmony here, very harmonic energy from September 15th through September 24th, specifically between Mercury, Uranus, and Pluto. So basically, from that period, this grand trine does deliver clarity and breakthrough thinking. So we're going to have a breakthrough with how we're thinking about things. We're going to have clarity. We're going to have good harmonic energy during this period. It's also a time when new solutions can emerge to match the intense challenges of the surrounding T-squares. So we just went over all the T-squares that we're experiencing in September. So that is happening while this grand trine is happening. So therefore, it may not feel like everything is harmonic, but the breakthrough with our thinking will hopefully bring in the results that we're looking for. So that grand trine that we talked about, we also have a kite that forms with that grand trine. So basically what a kite is when one planet opposes, one or more planets, usually one, opposes the grand trine. So when we hear oppose, we think the opposite, right? We think something that's not going to bring in a lot of good news to us. But the kite's actually very beneficial because it focuses the energy. So we're experiencing that harmonic energy, but the kite allows us to channel the energy in a direction that we want it to go in. And in this case, the kite is going to be a formation between Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, with activations from Mercury, Saturn, and the Sun. This will occur from September 15th. It'll actually go into next month. So it's going to end around October 2nd. So this builds on the air grand trine between Uranus, Pluto, and Mercury, but adds Neptune and Saturn to create both lift and tension, giving this period a very dynamic, purposeful energy. So basically, the kite it channels a visionary revolutionary energy. That Uranus, Pluto, Neptune conjunction, it allows for that revolutionary energy that we sometimes like. but it channels it into a grounded, workable strategy thanks to that Virgo Pisces activation. So what this period means, the kite is it's about turning dreams of transformation into structures that we can endure. So it makes it a lot easier to digest the change because of these grounding energies. We also have a second grand trine that's going to span from September 17th until October 2nd. And this is between the Sun, Uranus, and also Pluto. So basically, the Grand Trine brings clarity, empowerment, and forward vision, especially around practical solutions, thanks to the Virgo Sun that we're going to be experiencing this month for half of the month, and then the collective transformation with Uranus and Pluto. We also have another T square. This is a cardinal T square between Mercury, Jupiter, and Chiron, and that's going to be very much at the end of the month, September 29th through October 5th. So we're not really going to experience too much of that in this month, but basically when that comes in, we're creating friction in how we communicate and our belief systems. So this forces people to integrate those earlier insights into messy real world dynamics. So basically, in short, the Grand Trine from September 17th through the 28th allows for clarity, flow, innovation, and and confidence. And then for September 29th through October 5th, we have that T square, which is talking about challenge, tension, and testing of ideas in real life. Now we're going to talk about those were the big astrological events of September 2025. Now we're going to look at the planetary layers that add context onto those, and then we'll summarize it at the end. Okay, so the planetary layers. Let's get into it. So the Venus sextile Mars. So sextile means when energies are working together in cooperation. So we have Venus working well together with Mars from September 4th through the 27th. So what does that mean? Harmonious social/romantic energy. This helps ease conflicts and relationships feel more cooperative. We also have Mars opposing Chiron. Chiron's all about psychological pain. So an opposition means that there's conflict, okay? So that's from September 5th through September 28th. This is triggering wounds around independence, self assertion, and can bring conflict, but also healing through confrontation. So those are really high profile placements, meaning those things could be very hard to handle. But through the confrontation, we're able to heal some wounds. Then we also have Sun sextile Jupiter. Remember, sextile is harmonious energy. That's from September 5th through the 19th. We're looking at optimism, we're looking at opportunities, we're looking at supportive growth, and it's a nice counterbalance to those T squares that we're having. Then we have Jupiter square Chiron. Remember, Jupiter square Chiron, that means that there's tension. September 8th, and that actually goes past the month of September. So we're going to experience that from September 8th of this year till February of next year. Okay. So this is talking about long term influence. We're looking at growth presses on old wounds. So our past is going to press on our growth. And collectively, we're going to question things and themes of belonging, confidence, and faith. Then we have Sun opposite of Saturn. So opposite, remember, is that tension, but it's tension that we need. And that's from September 14th through the 28th. This is a reality check. We're going to experience a reality check here. We're going to have challenges with authority. We're going to be looking at facing limitations, and our energy may feel restricted. Okay. Mars square Pluto. Again, square means conflict. It means tension. September 14th through October 5th, we're looking at power struggles, intensity, possible explosive conflicts. And this is one of the most difficult aspects of the month. So from September 14th through October 5th, just remember that we might be a little bit more explosive than we normally would. Mars quintups Neptune from September 15th through October 1st. We're looking at confused, misdirected energy. Actions may lack clarity. We might need to balance idealism with reality. So that quintux with Neptune is directly going to impact the Mars square Pluto. Because if we're already feeling a sense of confusion, that is going to be irritating, which adds to our energy and into our aggression with Mars, and that might add to the explosive energy. So just be aware of that. We also have the Sun opposite Neptune from September 15th through October 1st. This is going to cause additional uncertainty. So, fog, illusion, uncertainty. This energy, though, is great for intuition and creativity. We need to rely on our internal workings of our body to navigate that fog. Okay, so how do we summarize this? Let's go ahead and summarize all of what we talked about into one good idea. So, overall, September 2025 carries a mix of supportive and challenging energy. But with that energy, it also blends breakthroughs with growth lessons. So, those grand trines that we have with Mercury, Sun, Uranus, and Pluto, those open doors for innovation, clarity, and transformative insights, which makes it a powerful time for creative thinking and bold communication. At the same time, though, at the same time, with good things come some challenging things that we can overcome. Listen, all these things we can overcome. Those oppositions and squares involving Mars, Saturn, Neptune, and Chiron stir up the pot, stir up the tension, which pushes us to face limits, heal old wounds, and ground our visions in reality. Overall, though, the month encourages balance, which means embracing opportunities while working through resistance to create lasting progress. So that's our astrological forecast. Let's go ahead and get into the tarot. Let me go ahead and address you guys directly with how we're going to break down the month of September. I follow a Sunday, Saturday format. So for the first week, we're going to be looking at September 1st through September 6th. As you guys know, by looking at the date of this video, obviously we're halfway through that first week. Then we have September 7th through September 13th. Then we have September 14th through September 20th for week 3. Week 4 will be September 21st through September 27th. And then technically we don't have a full week at the end. We have 3 days, September 28th through September 30th. So that's how we're going to break it down according to the video. So let's go ahead and get into the tarot. Okay, guys, welcome to week 1 of September 2025. As we learned during the astrological forecast that we did right before this section of this video, we looked at themes of cooperation and optimism in this first week of September, which is a beautiful change to the last week of August. Remember, this summer we had tons of astrological weather, as one would say. We had a lot of retrogrades, most importantly, Leo and Mercury, and we had a lot of different things going on in astrological weather. So we deserve a little bit of a break, I would say. So let's go ahead and get our 3-card poll for the first week of September, shall we? Well, look at that. Those 3 cards came out together. So we're going to take that as a sign. So we got the 3 of Wands, okay, in the reverse. We got the Wheel of Fortune. And then we got the Moon. The 3 of Wands in reverse is indicating an energy of not wanting to really work within these teams. It's kind of a precursor to what the rest of the month is going to look like. The cooperation seems to be a little bit more self-centered. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is talking about personal success, at least in the way it's been written or read here. We have the Moon here in the reverse, which is indicating a reluctance, a avoidance of our emotions in this scenario. The 3 of Wands is important here because we have all of that Marian energy that we're going to be going through, as you guys heard. The Marian energy is important here because this is a wand suit. The wands are talking about fire, which the fire element's related to Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Mars governs Aries. So we have an important distinction here with that Marian energy. Okay? So the energy for that first week, I mean, it sounds cooperation, optimism, it sounds positive. I think that we are thinking that we don't need to work in teams, we don't need to cooperate because we have a feeling, this feeling of optimism. But we're going to have a rude awakening when we get into the second week, which reminds me, let's get into our second week. Okay, so week 2, for this week, we're looking at power struggles and confusion. Listen, that first week we talked about how our cooperation was limited, how we felt the need, or rather the lack of thereof, teamwork. We didn't seem like we wanted to really be focusing on the team. It sounded like we were focused more on our personal gain rather than cooperation. And then the second week's here to say, like, listen, we tried telling you to really put power into that cooperation and y'all didn't listen, because now we have some power struggles and confusion. Okay, this is on point for that second week of September where we're talking about power struggles. Wheel of Fortune came back up. We're talking about that confusion that we had from that first week. We thought, oh, we're gonna have some good luck. We're gonna have some good energy. That's where the optimism was coming from. But then the second week comes in with all of our astrological weather and things were thrown at the wall. Emperor's here to say, like, listen, you got to take control of your kingdom here. We talked about power struggles in the second week, and there's very much a power struggle with the emperor showing up here. There's a lot of confidence here with this energy from the first week that we're riding. But then the Knight of Swords is here saying, like, listen, that might be fine. You might feel confident. You might have that confidence and that good luck from that first week. But this Knight of Swords in reverse here is indicating a lot of indirect communication, a lot of confusion, a lot of communication that's falling on deaf ears, meaning that the way we are navigating this energy in that second week, while it might feel like we have the power in our hands, remember we're talking about power struggles here and confusion. Our communication that second week doesn't seem like it's going to be very fruitful. It doesn't seem like it's going to have as much of an impact as we thought it would. So we need to be aware of this for that second week from September 7th through September 13th. We need to be on guard on those ones, okay? Let's look at the week 3. We are looking at the aftermath of week 2 with all that power struggle. There was a lot of chaos in that. And we are then going to therefore trying to be able to sort all of that chaotic energy. So that's going to be the theme of week 3 and of this reading, how to sort that chaos. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. 9 of Swords in the reverse, we're looking at an avoidance, or rather, we're looking at overcoming anxiety. The 9 of Swords, remember, is about anxiety in the upright. This one's in the reverse. So we're looking at overcoming anxiety, or maybe putting our mind at ease. And that might be one way to sort out this chaos. 2 of Swords, where there's some indecision though. So we're not sure how to tackle it. And that's why we're sorting out the chaos. That's why we're sorting out the energy. 2 of Cups, though, we are looking for that balance again. We're looking for that love, that balance between these two energies through sorting out the chaos. We're looking for balance. We're looking for decisions to be made. From a mental standpoint, it seems like we're kind of indecisive on that. But from an emotional standpoint, we understand why we need to sort out the chaos. Now that we're in week 3, we understand the impact of our choices from the previous weeks. So we are definitely sorting out this energy. It looks like we're going to be taking more of an emotional route, which, remember, we talked about how that third week is very important because we have that trigger with all the Mars and Pluto conjuncts and all those oppositions. We mentioned how that third week of September might be an explosive week where our emotions might get the best of us. So we really need to focus on this harmony within that third week of September. So let's go ahead and look at the fourth week. We're looking at September 21st through September 27th. And we're also going to just add that fifth week that I mentioned earlier, September 28th through September 30th. We're just going to all put it into one big week. So this is from September 21st through September 30th. And this is where we find out the results of how we sorted out the chaos. We're looking at the truth. we're looking at the truth coming to light. Okay? So that last theme of the month is going to be about truth. Okay. So I think the truth is going to be self-guided with the hermit. I think that we are going to have to look at our situation from an honest perspective and really get down to the meat and potatoes of what literally happened that whole beginning of the month and pretty much the whole month. This last week from September 21st through September 30th, it's going to be a lot of self-reflection, a lot of soul searching. We're going to be learning a lot about how we handle aggression and conflict. Judgment here in the reverse is indicating that while we are going to go through that self-reflective period, we're not always going to come out with all the answers, and that's okay. It's never about finding out all of the answers. It's about working on ourselves, though. So we're going to have a lack of awareness. We're going to have a lack of judgment calls. This month is really going to be like a trial period. It's going to be a trial period for the future on how we handle things going forward. Two of Wands in reverse, a lack of progress, a lack of decision making. The whole month of September feels like it's going to be that trial subscription or for that random app that you didn't really want to start a trial on, but they forced you into it. It's kind of like that energy. Like we're being forced to confront things that we didn't think that we would need to confront. And because of that, we seem to be a little bit resistant to the idea of working through our healing. We have a lot of Chiron placements here. And remember, we had Chiron in Aries retrograding for most of the summer. So we already have had this tension with our psychological pain. And I think September is just the aftermath and the overflow from that Chiron retrograding in Aries for most of the summer. So I think this month we need to be easy on ourselves. We also need to be easy on others. This is not saying to abandon your boundaries. This is saying let's just be a little bit more kinder to people in this month. We need to not have people explode. We need to not have our emotions run a course. We can express it, we can work through it, but listen, your emotions are your emotions. Your emotions are not as a result of others. You can choose how you emotionally react to things. So go with this information and let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for September or are you afraid? Let me know. Okay, see you guys next time. We'll see you for October.